Okay. All right. If there are no other questions, Michael, I don't understand your tabletop question. Things are on the way tabletop. Is that what you call what an assessor comes in to call tabletop? Okay, that's a good question. All right. So when an assessor comes in, now I know what you're talking about. So assessors have different methods that they use to assess a security control. A tabletop is one of the methods that they can use if they want, if they feel like that's the effective way to assess the security controls. Other things that they do is interviews, and that's where they just go around and, just like it says, they just go and ask questions to people who are affected by the control. That comes in really handy for policies. Like if I'm an assessor and I want to know if this organization knows their policies, knows basic security policies and basic security awareness, I might go interview somebody who sits in the ops room and say, okay, hey, do you have a few minutes? I wanted to ask you some questions about the security policy. And they're like, okay, what's your question? Do you know where the security policy is? What's the security policy on leaving your workstation unattended? Do you usually lock your workstation? What's the policy on it? What's the policy on training? It wasn't the last time you've been trained. So those are some things that they might ask for an interview. Interview is one thing, okay? Another thing they'll do is a examination using scanning. Testing, they'll actually do testing. And this might be where tabletops come in. They'll sit down with, give you a specific example. If they're doing testing on the system, they're not necessarily asking questions. They'll just say, okay, let's log into this system here, right? And they're not logging in. They're having whoever is there, the ops guy, okay, log into the system right there. He might know, the assessor knows, okay, this is a normal user and they should not be able to access these privileged. They shouldn't be able to access this other account because it's an admin account. But they're going to observe if anybody can just log into an admin account. So they'll actually test out what's going on as far as the security on that system. Then another thing they'll do is scanning. That's another part of observing and testing. Another thing, the tabletops will come in if you were saying, okay, what do you guys do? You have the organization there, right? All the representatives. And you're saying, okay, what would you guys do if right now all the systems went down? This is a critical system. You guys are tracking satellites. You guys are helping the ISS and SpaceX get to, this is a critical system that you guys have. You got a critical server, critical network, critical databases. All that information is live. What you do, tabletop right now. What do you guys do if all these systems are gone? What do you do? And then the tabletop, they're going to see what responses that the organization has. And the organization might say, oh yeah, we have an alternate site. As soon as these systems turn off, we have a generator, number one. The generator kicks on, giving us enough time to switch over to our alternate site that's in Houston. Houston picks up, and that takes about an hour for them to completely come up to speed. It's instantaneous, but everybody who's in place has to go get in place. So that's what they will do for a tabletop is, okay, now walk me through it. That's what the assessor will say. Walk me through what you guys do if this thing goes down, right? Let me see. And then they'll start play acting and say, okay, here's what we'll do. First off, I'm going to call Houston and say, Houston, we have a problem. And then the next step is going to be that they're going to activate protocol 15, whatever. I'm just making shit up like right now. And then what we're going to do, so they're just play acting and showing, okay, here's what I'll do next and next and next and next. So another time a tabletop will be used is during backups. Like if the assessor or whoever wants to know, okay, when's the last time you guys did a backup of your critical systems? We did it. We do it every week, once a week. Okay, tabletop exercise. Let's do one right now, right? And they might have them sit down and run through a checklist. They might not actually do it live, right? They might not actually conduct. They could, but normally it's like play acting. Everybody's sitting down and they're running through a checklist. So to answer your question, they could use a checklist. Could use a tabletop technique, but there's also scanning and there's testing to test the behavior of the system to see if it actually has security controls. Interviews. Another one that I mentioned is like, do you guys have policies? Yes. Let me see them. Observing their policies, just reading through their policies and scanning through and seeing if they have policies in place. So I hope that answers all the questions. If you have any other questions, you can hit me up on email. Somebody asked for my contact information. Here's my contact information. If you happen to be a member of ConvoCourses, you can ask me a question anytime. I will look at your resume personally. David says, did you get my resume? David, I believe I have looked at your resume, but I believe I even updated it for you and gave you some tips. But just in case I didn't, I will double check my email and see if I did that for you. I think I did, but I'll double check it. So that's it for this one, guys. See you on the next one. You can contact me anytime. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. Thanks for Michael. Thanks, Alice. Thanks, David. Thanks, everybody, for all of your questions.